Hi. So the other day I was talking with someone about the loss of freedom that comes with, you know, governments being governments. And one of the things is that this individual was in particular American. That's why he said, "Well, why do you think we Americans are so stubborn?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's true. You people are certainly stubborn. That's a good thing." That's exactly what I want to speak about. So let's get into it. So, there is a certain level of stubbornness that it's required to, survive. And there's just like there is healthy rebelliousness, there is healthy amount of stubbornness. There's an unhealthy one, of course, and that's why stubbornness is given such a bad reputation. But the reality is that, unfortunately, we need stubbornness to put our foot down in the things that matter. For example, like protecting children, or like even in our personal lives when it comes to protecting ourselves, our boundaries, saying no, setting our goals. We need to have some level of stubbornness for the sake of our future, for the sake of our children, for the sake of everyone around us, for the sake of ourselves and even people who love us. Because imagine this, you are someone who is very much has no boundaries, and you're just allowing things to happen to you, and you're just allowing people to do and say and ask, and they just get used to it. Even if they're not bad people, they just get used to it, to have their way in a very specific manner. And when you have no boundaries and you never put your foot down in anything, you're going to become resentful of that person. Even if that person is an amazing human being, you're going to become resentful of that lack of respect. The problem is you haven't been asserting your boundaries. And if this is the thing, oh, but oh yeah, I just figured something out about myself. Interesting. I just here in the moment, I just figured it out. This is why I use this as a form of therapy. Uh, Sadly, a lot of people in my environment, now that I'm realizing, have taken my boundaries as a form of stubbornness. And they have always told me, "Why you're so stubborn?" That's a good that's a good red flag. Now that I'm realizing. That's an amazing red flag now that I'm noticing. I had no idea. I came into this video with the idea I would say, I'm going to say this, this, and this, and this, and that. I just had an epiphany midway through this. I just realized that people in my life who have been calling me stubborn for having boundaries, mm, that's a red flag. So now you have it. You need stubbornness in your life to be assertive and to put your boundaries in place. And anyone who tells you you're being stubborn because you want your boundaries to be respected and your principles to be respected, that's a red flag. Alrighty. It's not stubbornness. We're being shamed into believing that we're being stubborn or annoying or something. That's not being stubborn. That's having boundaries. That's having healthy boundaries. Sadly, I haven't been surrounded with the most healthy people, like I can tell right now. I I didn't realize about this until 3 minutes ago. A minute ago, actually. I don't know. Oh my god. So I just had this epiphany. I cannot believe it. Okay, so we need stubbornness. The healthy type. That's something we should copy from the Americans. That's something we should all copy from the American people, which is something admirable and that we should all copy. And it's not stubbornness. I mean, you could call it stubbornness, but at the same time, is it stubbornness if you're fighting for the things that matter? if you're putting your foot down for the things that matter to you. And if I get it, if you don't think that certain things like gun control and things like that, if you think those things are not important to you, well, those are the principles of your culture. You should be respectful of other people's culture. Okay? Otherwise, you would be an imperialistic individual. And everyone likes to shame everyone about imperialism, but the minute someone else has a different culture, they're like, oh, you should behave in the way I think you should behave. You should say the words I think proper. And I'm like, you don't even speak Spanish. Oh, the other time, there was this conflict with this woman because there is this show, this TV show that it was like a pre-release of a clip of a girl of a new Disney TV show that it's going to be in Terremoto Heights. Oh my god. And it's gonna be like a girl that it's like Oche Primos. I think it was called because yes, it was with a grammatical error and everything. And the actress, the lead actress, came up to the public and said, "You know what? It is okay if we speak badly Spanish because Spanish is not the original language of Latin America. It is a language of imperialistic people, of conquistadors. So forgive me if I'm gonna mispronounce it how many ever ways I want. I'm gonna speak badly because that's not my language." And the Latin Americans, the comment section were like, you do realize you're speaking in English, right? You do realize you're speaking in English. And there was this, I don't know why, but Americans have this woke mentality in which they're just trying to say, Latin Americans, oh, you should stop speaking Spanish because that's a conquistador language. And we're just like, you do realize you're speaking English. English had, like, England had no sundown. Like, there was the empire where the sun never has a sundown. Like, it never, like, there was never a night in the British Empire or something like that because it was so wide and it spread out. It was just so massive that there was no nights ever in the British Empire of how massive it was. And yet people from the Anglo-Saxon culture, it's trying to tell us, oh, you should stop speaking Spanish because that's a conquistador language. What the freaking jingaloo? That's a conquistador language. Oh my god. Oh my god. So, you have to put your foot down in the things that matter, even if it sounds like stubborn or someone's trying to accuse you of being stubborn. And it's just like, yes, I'm stubborn. And they're the worst, the worst. Hear me out. Americans trying to tell us that our language is sexist because it has gender differentiation. So, we cannot say la mesa. We have to say whatever non binary version they think of. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you can tell these people don't speak the language. You can tell these people don't really comprehend what it means to be a Latino. They don't really comprehend what it means to speak a Romance language. This is not an Anglo-Saxon language, and even your Anglo-Saxon language has its limitations when it comes to gender. You have some gender things. So it's just like, hmm. And then they just tell us, oh, your language is just imperialistic and you have to adapt. And we're just like, mira gringo de porquería. So, yeah. So we're being called stubborn for trying to speak our culture, which is fascinating because the thing is, the division between Latin America and Anglo-Saxon America, it's cultural, not genetic, how Americans would like to think of nowadays. They just think that way. I don't know why they mistake ethnicity with culture. It's just, those just things are different, my dear. But sure, whatever. And then they, for some reason, they're trying to get our culture cancelled for the sake of political correctness. But they want to be inclusive. So I can understand why some cultures may have a different vision of the world to us, and some cultures they just, they're like, I want to protect the Second Amendment, and you know what? That's okay. That's your culture, boo boo. In your culture, do as you please. That's your culture, and if that's your culture, as long as you're not harming anyone, protect protect your values and what you think it's morally correct. And I don't know if we should mess with some culture. I mean, there are a few exceptions, like when you're actively trying to harm people for the sake of protecting your culture, which is dodgy. Like I can think of cases, very specific cases, like for example, that country in Africa that just essentially banned homosexuals, and it's just like something of persecution, prison, and probably execution, and just like, okay, okay, that's a bit too much, don't you think? That's a bit too much. So it's a dodgy issue. That's a problem. That's the dodgy issue. It's a sticky one. But the thing is, when now we have a new rule, you know, there is a phrase that says those who complain of you having boundaries are the ones who having the benefit of you having none. Well, we can add to that phrase now, and we can say that unfortunately, those who call you stubborn for and try to shame you because you're too stubborn, because you are too conservative, or you have very strict boundaries and you don't want to flinch on those. It's just like, yeah, there's certain things you shouldn't flinch. Like for example, protecting children. It's just that's something we should never flinch on. That's something that we should never give grounds to. So yeah, tell me what you think about this. It's a pretty controversial topic. I had discoveries about this topic along the way of this. It has been a journey. This whole video, it's been a hell of a journey. Yee. So yeah, tell me what you think about this. Should be interesting. And yeah, it's pure chaos. It's pure chaos. I had something more organized. Like I had something like a bullet point in my head, but then I had an epiphany. Just like the bullet point just went missing. Just like, all right. And given the fact that this channel is to work on my self-expression, it's actually it's a healthy thing. Just have things to be more spontaneous and do things in the spur of the moment. That's healthy, I guess. I guess. Okay. What are the boundaries and the things that you should not flinch about? What are the things you should protect at all cost? To me, children, of course. Other than that, I don't. Yeah, tell me what you guys think about it, and what are the things that we should be wary of? What are the red flags you can think of? Like people trying to call you stubborn because you're trying to protect a boundary or something like that. What are other red flags we should be wary of, and what other boundaries we should be stubborn about? Do let me know. So I'll be looking forward to your comments. Until next time, I wish you nothing but the best. And yeah, stay strong in your boundaries and stay stubborn. Till next time, bye bye.